Hello, bonjour. This is Sasha. Thanks for being here, listening to I Am a Mess, but also Delicious, a podcast about how life is nuts and also really fun. So, case in point, I'm here in Paris in a tiny apartment in Montmartre, and it's a little gray outside. I actually arrived when it was really sunny and wonderful last week. And to be honest, I cannot believe I'm here. This, if you've been listening and if you know me, that this past year has been really insane in a variety of ways, physically and mentally. Going through heartache and moving and rearranging my health issues, hormones, etc. And I've just felt like I've experienced the entire range of emotions that a woman slash person, human on this earth can experience within the time frame of this past year. And now that I'm here, I'm almost just like so overwhelmed that I feel like I don't have feelings. I don't know if anyone's ever felt that way before. So I feel a little bit numb almost to it all, but also really excited and like, what the fuck? And questioning everything and also really thankful. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of along the lines of what this move has been this whole past year, and I think everyone can relate to it a little bit in their own life, is doing things even though you're afraid or you're uncomfortable. One of the like new agey quotes that you might see floating around social media is feel the fear and do it anyway. Stuff like that. I don't really know how I feel about that quote, to be honest, but I mean, that's kind of what I've done. Just being really uncomfortable and not at ease, but also feeling like there's a calling or feeling like I'm guided to do something, and kind of just diving in face first. And one of the words that came up when I was thinking about this concept was brave or bravery. And, a lot of people have told me in all of these efforts that I've been doing as of late to move to Paris and to be just a little bit more honest and open and vulnerable with my community is, gosh, you're so brave, like you have so much courage, as if they don't have it. And I just want to be really clear that everybody is very brave. They have a lot of courage, all of you, all y'all listening. And even if you feel like you don't, if you look back on your life and think of everything that you've gone to up until now, until like everything has gotten you here to where you are. And that has more like, or that has most likely, I can't speak, I don't know what language I'm speaking, has most likely involved something that has scared you or terrified you even, or something has happened that has felt really awful and you've had to overcome it. So for me personally, lately, that has been moving here to a country where I speak maybe like 30% of the language, 50% on a good day. I can have a conversation in French, like if I were a 5-year-old French speaker, maybe. And I just went to the bank. It was really funny. And I was just like, God, I really hope I understand this woman speaking to me. And, I'm really fortunate that I am an English speaker because, we're really spoiled. Like, we got it good. We got it easy. It's a very universal language, and it's made it a lot easier for me here. Granted, I do speak French, and there are not everybody here speaks English, so that's been great for me because then I get to practice, even though it hurts my brain after a while. And I guess it did take some courage to get here and to do this. I was really nervous. Like, in the beginning when I came here over the summer, I mean, let's backtrack. Okay. So last summer, or last winter, actually like around a year ago, last January, before I left my old apartment and relationship, I ran into my friend Danielle, who was just about to start the Provence experience, and she said, do you maybe want to teach yoga for this experience I'm putting together? And I said, yep, let's do it. And that was 2 days before I moved out. So that'll be another podcast maybe on serendipity and divine timing. Believe it. It happens. And we met, and we had known each other for a long time and hadn't seen each other for a while, and I caught up with what she was doing and vice versa. And especially, I mean, I would have said yes regardless, but it made it really easy for me to say yes because I just was ecstatic. I was excited to have something to be excited about, especially in a time of such darkness and major transition. It felt like, nothing could hurt me at that point. Like nothing was scary after what I had just gone through. And so I waited for her confirmation, and it kind of took a while because it took a while on her end to get confirmation. That's a whole different story. And we did it. And even then, I remember getting to Paris before our drive down south to Provence and thinking to myself, what am I doing? Like, I was a little nervous to leave. I was scared. I didn't know why I thought it was a good idea to leave such a good thing that I had in New York, even though I didn't have a permanent home and was really, really just gutted out of my heart. And I didn't know where life was going to go after I thought I had this trajectory, and it kind of just shattered. I was still scared to go to France because I had clients and I had a lot of great gigs. I had really amazing classes. I love my students. I will forever love them in New York. And I was really establishing myself. I didn't really have to seek out a lot of work anymore. A lot of it had come to me, which was, God is such a blessing if you're an entrepreneur. If anyone is an entrepreneur, please, would love to hear your comments on that. So I was nervous and scared to leave that and just kind of, hop on a plane and get over here and teach a week at this experience and then not be certain what would happen after that for income or where I would live. But again, I think when you go through really challenging times, your armor is, you kind of shed your armor and you're not protecting yourself anymore. I mean, obviously, yes, it's important to be wise and make conscious, alert decisions, but I was really open to what could come next, even if I was afraid. So I think those two things, kind of like this concept of messy deliciousness, these two things can exist together. Being afraid or having fear and experiencing uncertainty, but just doing it anyways because your heart is speaking to you, or there's a calling, or there's an intuition, there's a gut feeling, there's something aligning that is guiding you to do it. And I think it is important to learn how to tune into that. I have a lot of friends that are doing a really great work with building up your own intuition, like my girl Rebecca Conran and Chris McClellan of the Joy Connector. I'll include those in the notes. And my friend, one of my besties, Ksenia, her podcast is called Woke and Wired, and she's doing a lot around intuition and social media and following your path in a really conscious way. Anyways, so even when I was in France last summer, I, was thinking to myself, like, what am I doing here? But things just kept evolving, and after about 2 or 2.5 months, I really quickly had developed this gorgeous community of expats and Parisians and Francophone, every type of human under the sun, it seemed, I had met in all different ages. Just teaching yoga in the parks in Paris, and that never would have happened had I not just done it. I was really afraid also to teach my own classes outside of the Provence experience. I was doing events with Danielle in the park, and it was her idea, and then we collaborated based on my ideas too. And we built something really amazing. Hopefully we'll get to do some stuff again this summer. Stay tuned, we'll see. And I decided, well, maybe I'll teach my own classes then too. And I was afraid, but I just did it. It took me a minute to click post when I created the Facebook event. But, really, like, what do you have to lose? Life is really short, and you're not going to know the outcome unless you try. I say that a lot in my yoga classes. You never know unless you try, even if something seems really daunting, or maybe it doesn't seem daunting, maybe it seems really easy, and then all of a sudden it is really challenging, and that's okay too. And I think there's a lot of different kinds of courage, the people who have told me that I'm very brave, thank you, first of all. I think I know I am. I know all of you are too. I think it takes a lot of courage and bravery to do things like buy a house and have a child. Oh my God, that's the most courageous thing you could ever do, is bring new life into the world. To be open and vulnerable with somebody is courageous. Even just to do that with yourself, to be able to look at yourself, all parts of yourself, even the parts that feel like a catastrophe, and to be able to see it clearly and be willing to work with it. Or even just be willing to recognize it, I think is courageous. To sign up for a program, one of my best friends is in a PhD program. That's a really brave, a really big act of bravery. Another friend of mine is moving to a different state soon to be more in the wilderness. I mean, another friend is applying to grad school. I have several friends applying to grad school for different programs. Anyone that maybe leaves their job to try something new, or has the courage to leave something they love, like my former situation. That was awful, but there comes a point when the universe, I truly, firmly believe, will guide you to what your heart actually really wants, especially the more clearer you get with that. And that doesn't mean that you're guided and it's going to be like a piece of cake. I think people might get that convoluted, to say divine has your back and the universe is watching over you. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're just going to pluck you onto a raft down the lazy river and you're just going to float. I mean, it can, I guess, it depends on your perspective and how things affect you, but it doesn't mean that things are necessarily going to be easy. It also doesn't mean that you need to suffer to go through or to get to where you want to be. Because suffering is also optional. Pain is probably inevitable. There's that famous quote, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And yeah, we will experience pain because things are hard. Life is not just, floating on a rainbow from one thing to the next. But it's how we perceive the challenges and work with them that make us a little softer, that make maybe the bumps in the road a little less intense and jarring. So this concept of doing things that you're afraid of, I think everyone has gone through them to some capacity. I think of the people, again, that have told me that, I have courage or whatever to be doing what I'm doing. And I think of it did take a lot. And I was really scared when I finally paid my lawyer to help me get a visa and said, oh my God, I'm actually making this decision for myself. It was really scary. What am I doing? Is this the right decision? I don't know. But I'm not going to know unless I do it. And now I'm here and I still don't know. I'm just here. I know that I'm answering a calling, and that's all I can do. And I was afraid to go to the bank and talk to somebody today, but I did it, and now I have to continue onward with that scenario. And I'm supposed to teach a yoga class on Sunday in French, and I'm terrified, but I said yes because I didn't want to say no. Because I thought it was an interesting opportunity just to try. And that doesn't mean we have to say yes to everything, but if something provides the opportunity, or someone provides the opportunity for us to grow and try something new that excites us, then yeah, man, say yes, even if it's scary. I think there's definitely a time and place to say no. Like, something does not feel right, if it feels really off, if it feels, we have to discern between, in the Yoga Sutras, they ask us to discern between pain and discomfort. Like, what feels really off in a way that's just not right for you versus what feels uncomfortable, but also really excites you. Like the idea for me of having a family and having a child eventually one day, like, really terrifies me, but I know I really want that. So I'm not going to say no to that. And there's other acts of bravery that I think, like when I travel, I love traveling, and I think traveling is also a very brave thing to do, and be willing to go see and experience different cultures and different parts of the world. I was really scared to take a 15-and-a-half-hour flight by myself to Bali, but I did it because I desperately wanted to go, and you know what? It wasn't so bad. I watched so many movies. Watched so many new movies. Oh my God. It was so long. And I slept. I actually did sleep. Not well, but I did. And I think of the people that go and travel, and like my dear friend Jamie, who I just stayed with in Brooklyn before I left, she often will take herself on her own silent retreats, which I think is so awesome, just even for like a weekend. I have other friends that go and like backpack everywhere and stay in like fucking tents in like the snow in the mountains, and I would never, I shouldn't say I would never, I don't think I would do that. Like, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro and going to third world countries and volunteering, or not even volunteering, just traveling and seeing the world and, living as a reflection of that, I think is important too, of being open to those experiences. And when I do love to travel, but I don't necessarily do those things that I consider to be really brave and really extreme. So I think we all kind of have our idea of what bravery and courage and feeling the fear and doing it anyway means. And you just got to roll with that and trust yourself, trust that you know what's best for you. And how do you know what's best for you? Like, sometimes we think we know what's best and then we make a mistake. But maybe there are no mistakes. Maybe just something didn't work out the way we had thought and something better is on the horizon. So even though we're afraid sometimes, it doesn't mean that the outcome won't be really awesome, or that it won't enlighten us or serve us in some way. Everything is always serving us. It's always a lesson, even if it is uncomfortable. There's always something that we can take away from the experience if we want to see it. So there's a lot of meditation apps and ways that you can get in touch with yourself a little bit better. I have guided meditations on my YouTube channel, which is called Sasha Yoga and Wellness, if you search that on YouTube. And every moment really is an opportunity to sit with ourselves. I am definitely a product of this generation, and life in general, just being human by default, of trying to fill the time with stuff. Because sometimes it's actually the most fearful to, like I said, to just be quiet with ourselves and to do nothing and to sit with what is and not actually space out, but really tune in. That can be really scary to see, what, or to look at all the parts of ourselves. I said that earlier on. And it does take some courage to do that and some dedication, but it will result in something really beautiful because it gives us the tool of awareness, of a really open, perceptive way of being, so that we can experience more of life in that way. So we're not constantly seeking something. We're also not constantly avoiding something because we are afraid. We're allowing everything to exist in the same plane, whether it feels good or feels off, and connecting inward so that we know what to do or how to be guided, or how to maybe release a little bit of our effort, or maybe how to make a little bit more of an effort in order to move forward in a way that feels better for us. And sometimes that might mean doing something that scares you. And sometimes it might mean doing something that doesn't scare you at all and you're like, yeah, whatever. And that's also going to vary for different people. Like for me, being in the ocean is always a little bit scary, but I'm deeply, deeply connected to it. And I know a lot of others feel that way. My friend Amber and I, who just led a retreat with Sarah in Costa Rica, come next year, February 2020. It's a leap year. It's going to be amazing. We had the most amazing retreat at Rios del Sol with my girl Nicole. And again, I'll put all this information in the notes. Nicole is the owner of Rios, and I don't remember if I was talking with her or with Amber, and part of me, for a moment, almost wanted to back out of surfing. And I've gone for the past 2 years. I love it. I didn't take lessons last year, and I was also afraid. But I did it anyways. And I knew I was going to be afraid again and do it anyways. But there was part of me that was like, I'm tired. Like, maybe I'll just sit back and lay on the beach. And Amber looked at me and said, Sasha, we're going to go. And I said, oh, okay. And I learned that, I don't know if I was talking to Amber or Nicole, but that, they're a little bit scared too of the ocean, but they do it anyway because it's fun. And thankfully there are small baby waves there to accommodate for people who are a little bit of chickens. And it just is exhilarating when you do something that does freak you out a little bit. And it's like, you just overcame a hurdle. You jumped over it. You went through it, actually, and you did it. And so today I just invite you to think of something that you've done, or a few things that you've done in your life that have not been so easy for you, but that you did. You worked your way through it. Rebecca always says you have to feel it to heal it. So you did it. You made it. And if you can't think of anything that you've done, maybe think of something that someone else has done that you really admire. And that doesn't mean that you have to go out and do it. But if you admire that quality, you can tap into your ability to do the same thing, to be brave and do something that scares you a little bit, that maybe brings up some fears, whether they're current fears or all really from the past. Like, let's be honest, all of our garbage is from the past, and that's okay. Even if you had a great childhood, you're all going to have shit that builds up within you and have to be able to look at it. So if somebody else has done something that you find really courageous, maybe that is something that you'd like to tap into. You can envision them. That's why a lot of these spiritual practices have gods and goddesses, so that we have something to tap into, to envision ourselves as, or to ask for help from, to channel when we're going through challenging times, like Durga. She's a badass goddess and a warrior. And when I'm feeling like I really need to not fight something, but just, be stronger, I'll often think of her. And Ganesh is the remover of obstacles. So you can think of Ganesh when you have something that you're afraid of that feels like an obstacle, that Ganesh maybe can guide you. And if that sounds like woo-woo crazy town, pray or channel or listen or write down whatever it is that is going to assist you to move forward. And maybe you don't take action right away with that thing that scares you, and that's cool. Like, maybe you can just look at it a little bit and talk to it and say, like, why am I afraid of you? Or ask yourself, like, why am I afraid? What does this mean? And be able to accept whatever comes up, because it doesn't mean that you're chicken shit. And even if you are, who cares? Like, you're brave enough to have made it this far in your life as a human. And all of it is relative. So maybe bravery or courageousness isn't even a concept at all. Maybe it's just like, yeah, it's just a human thing that people do. It doesn't have to be like, you're the king of the world if you jumped over this or moved through this big hurdle in your life. But also it can be a big deal. Like, this whole week, when I just got to Paris and was like, okay, well, I'm here, now what? I often have to stop myself when I am walking around and thinking like, okay, what should I be doing? What should I be doing? And just think of the fact that, like, I got here and it was really exhausting to get here, but something guided me to do it. And for some reason, I know a lot of reasons, but I really wanted it. And now I'm here, and it's okay to relax a little bit too. Like, we don't always have to be in this battle or in this state of like going. Like, okay, gotta get through the next thing. Like, gotta make it through this fear. Otherwise, I'm just not gonna make it at all. Or I have to suffer in order to get what I want. Like, all of that is your perspective. Like, one of my mantras in this transition is, this is easy, this is easeful, this is simple, this is peaceful. And yeah, like, not every moment has been that way, but it hasn't also been like insane either. I mean, I got through airport security fine. My luggage was a little bit over and the nice man at the counter let me through, which does not always happen, and I could have paid an arm and a leg. Like, things have been okay. All things considered, and even though I still don't have a French phone number or bank account and am confused a lot, but one thing at a time, like I said. So take a moment today to appreciate yourself for how far you've come. And if you can't think of anything, you might appreciate someone else for how far they've come, and let that guide you and inspire you to move forward in a way that best suits you. And if you need help getting in touch with yourself and what all of that means to you and figuring out what is right for you, I'm here to help. I'm here to guide you. I offer wellness consulting, so you can contact me if you want some one-on-one time. Talk about meditation, even nutrition goals if you have any confusion or ideals of what you'd like to aspire to, and just taking really good care of yourself. I'm here, so reach out. And I'll leave you with that. You're all really brave, especially if you're here and just willing to listen to someone else in the realm of getting to know yourself better, taking care of yourself so you can better take care of each other. I think that's really courageous. So thank you. I appreciate you. I'm inspired by all of you. You fuel me to go forward and make courageous decisions. So I really, truly, deeply appreciate that. You don't even know. My heart goes out to you. And I'm here if you need assistance with that. So please check back in with me. I'm going to be in Paris, and I would love to meet you if you're in Europe or if you pop over here, just casually. And I would love to host some events around Europe. I am hosting a retreat again next year with Sarah and Amber, The Good Life, Costa Rica, on a leap year, like I said earlier, February 29th, I believe, to March 7th. So you can sign up for all of that on thegoodliferetreat.com, and any of my events, I'll of course hook it up in Instagram and social media things. I sound like I really know what I'm talking about, right? Anyways, I love you all. Thank you. Have an awesome day. Be messy and delicious. Bye.